So finally, we're gonna start adding some scripts. Open up a sample project since it already has a bunch of scripts done. You're ready to start developing. So the reason I wanted you to start with the sample project is because there's a lot of stuff already done in here. And all we need to do is just delete some of the stuff that we're not gonna be using. Okay, we don't need the house either. We can delete that. And if there's some programming done on some of these that you like, what I would recommend doing is go over here and create a new scene and just call this like reference, right, or something like that. Anyway, the background doesn't really matter. And then just take some of these actors and bring them into this scene. And now what this is just a reference scene, and you can have, if you program something, you can just come in here and you'll be able to copy the event and then paste it into whatever you want. So map start, this is my starting map screen, and this little dot is where the player will begin. We're going to start the player right there, and I'm going to get rid of some of these teleports. So we can make this, we can put this right here and make it the house. Yeah, so here we are, and I believe if I walk into the house, I walk in here. You can't see my character's body because his body's black. Ah, that's funny. Alright, let's go back outside. Cool. Alright, so let's start by adding an NPC so I can show you how interactions work. Now, if you click on the scene, it'll show you information about the scene. So this scene has a trigger in it, and you can add a note in here like this is the starting area for the game or whatever, and maybe name this starting area. I should name it Gerb's house. It's Gerb's house. Alright, and you can add events to the scene as well as actors. So just to show you, I'm going to add an event to the scene. Now if I were you, I would familiarize myself with all of these, so that way you know it's possible, and when you get ideas, you would think about how to use these to get your ideas working. So the quickest thing I can do to show you that the scene is working is by posting a text, dialogue, and this is working, and it'll say just this is working. So now if I hit play, as soon as the scene loads up, you will see that it'll say this is working. Even though I didn't touch anything or do anything, it'll load up. So let's start a new game. And as you can see, this is working. A dialogue popped up. This would be cool if maybe you have a story at the very beginning of the game before you even want the player to control the character. And as you can see, I can't move the character until the dialogue is finished. So it's a good way to start the game off with some story. Like Gerb's got his, a squirrel stole his hat. That's gonna be the story. Gerb's is looking for his height. So you can minimize events, and you can also reorganize them. I'm going to leave this one here for now. We're going to use it as a way to display, actually I'm going to remove it. Alright, so now let's add an actor. So I'm going to select where I want to add an actor. I'll add an actor right here, and I'll just leave it at the cat. So as you can see, the cat only has one sprite, so options to control which way it's facing didn't appear. But if I choose something like this NPC, now I can choose the direction that she's facing. So if you don't see this direction, that means your sprite doesn't have the different directions. In my previous video, I tell you how to set that up. So for the movement type, I can set random rotation or random walk. So if I set it to random walk and hit play, you'll see that she'll just walk around. So check it out. She's randomly walking around. Pretty cool, right? That was a really quick way to get NPCs to walk around your town. And if I walk up to her and press A, I interact with her and she faces me, which is something that also automatically happens. So now if we want something to happen when we talk to her, it's very, very simple. Usually what you want is a dialogue. So let's just go back to the text dialogue, and she'll say hello. So she says hello, and that's it. Pretty cool. Now every time I talk to her, she would say hello. If we want her to say multiple things, you can click this plus and we can make her say bye, and after she says hello, she'll say bye. But if we want her to say specific things based on what you did, etc., we need to use variables. And this is where things get a little bit more complicated. It's very easy to just add an event here, like an emote, and make the player be in love. Let's check that out actually. Hello, bye. You fell in love just by saying hello. So I'm going to introduce you now to variables, and variables are very, very important. It's how anything gets saved in your game. If you want something to get saved, it's going to be saved in a variable. So if you scroll down, you'll see a lot of these ifs have variables right here, and we're about to mess with variables. So we'll check if a variable is true or false. Let's do that. We'll check if it is true. So here we have, let me close these so it's not too distracting. Here we're checking if this variable is true, then we want this event to happen, or else this event would happen. And right now there are no events, so nothing will happen. If you click the drop down menu, you can see all the variables that you can use in this game. There's 511. The variables that have the dollar signs in front of them, those are variables that you can display in text. If there are no dollar signs, you can't display it in text. So for example, let's go ahead and pick one of these. I'm going to pick variable 13. And so I know what it is, I'm going to rename it. And we're going to name this one, you are a boy. Whenever you're naming a variable that's either true or false, you want it to be a question that can be answered in true or false. So you are a boy, that's true or that's false. That'll be an easy way to, oops, I put by. That'll be an easy way to remember it. Okay. So if you're a boy, we're gonna have her say hello boy, and I can drag. The cool thing is you can drag to rearrange these, but you can also drag and put them in locations. So I'm gonna drag it here. I'm gonna remove the by one, and she's gonna say hello boy. And if you're not a boy, we're gonna assume that you're a girl, and we're gonna go to the display dialog and set this to hello girl. By default, variables are set to false. So if this variable is set to false, by default it's going to say hello girl. So she says hello girl. So if we want girls to be a boy, we have to give the player that option. Now remember at the beginning how I showed you you can start the scene off with a dialogue? Well, let's use that as a way to ask the player if they're a boy or girl. So at the beginning, I clicked on the scene. And as you can see, there's a new thing over here, the actor 1, which I added. As you add stuff, it'll show it in your navigation. So in the scene, I'm going to add a dialogue with multiple choices. So the question is, over here I can choose what variable I want to set to true or false. And we're going to pick you are a boy. So you are a boy, if we want it to be true, then the choice should be I am a boy. If it's false, then it's going to be I am not a boy, but we're just going to make it I am a girl. And now if I hit run, you'll see the options pop up. So started, am I a boy, am I a girl? I can make a choice here. And this will set the you are a boy variable to either true if I make the first choice, or false if I make the second choice. It's not actually setting it to boy or girl, it's just setting it to true or false. So I'm going to select I am a boy. And now if I walk up to her, she says hello boy instead of hello girl. I hope that is enough to get you started on creating dialogues. You can imagine how deep and complicated you can make that if you keep track of all sorts of different things that your character does throughout the game. I'm going to add another scene and show you how to transition scenes, and we'll do basic pickups. So I'm going to go ahead and place this right here. They don't have to be perfectly aligned. I'm just putting them next to each other so it's easy to understand. Now remember, you need to draw your colliders on every single map. I'm not going to really worry about that too much right now since I'm showing you guys events. So what you need to do is add a trigger on the edge where you want the player to basically teleport to the next map. So I created a trigger here, and the event that we want is going to be called switch scene, switch scene. And the scene that we want to switch to, actually already selected it for me, but from this drop down you can select a scene. I do want to go to scene 8. Let's actually click on this scene and rename this to town. And it's teleporting me here, but as you can see, the dotted line goes to this blue location, and I don't want to get teleported up there. I want to get teleported right here on the sidewalk. And the direction I want my character to be facing is right. So now when Gerbs walks into this trigger, he'll get teleported right here. And bam! Gerbs has made it to town. But I can't go back because I didn't make a trigger for going back. Gerbs' house. Gerb's house. We want to go to Gerb's house. And let's move Gerb right here on the sidewalk and make him face left. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to pick up items in a simple way to display what items you have. If you want to do an inventory, you'll have to create a scene that will display information, kind of like something over here. I'll show you just enough to get you started though. So let's create something for Gerbs to pick up. I'm going to create an actor, and I'm going to place it right here, and sure, he'll pick up he'll pick up cats for now. So what we want is when you interact with this, we're going to want to increment, to count how many cats you picked up, but also we're going to want the cat to disappear so it seems like you picked it up. Scroll all the way down and you will find variable increment by 1. Since we're only picking up cats by 1 at a time, we're going to use this, but you can also use set to value or do math, but for now, math functions right here, but for now this is all we need. So we'll need to create a new variable. Make sure you're not on any of your previous variables. We're going to want to make a variable. I'll use this one right here, and I'll rename it to cats collected. Alright, so we got a cats collected variable, and it'll increment by 1. By default, variables start at 0, so we don't need to set cats collected to 0. It'll start there and we'll just increment by 1. So after the cat is collected, what we want to do is hide it. So actor hide, and we don't want to hide the player. That's what's selected by default. We want to hide the cat. Let's rename this to cat1 so that way it's easy for us to find it in the drop down. So we're going to increment cats collected by 1, and then the cat is going to hide. And let's just display a dialog to show the number of cats that we collected. So we'll show a dialog, and this dialog needs to show how many cats we collected. So what you can do to show variables is you write the variable name, which is going to be the number with the dollar signs. Look at the very beginning over here. This is variable number 14. So we're just gonna do this, and this will give us the number associated with that variable. So you collected cats, and this will give us the number. So it'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Let me make sure I got a space after 14. Okay. Let's check that out. Oh, actually, let me put a couple of these in here. So as far as I know, I don't think you can copy paste. Yeah, you can copy paste. That is awesome. I just copy pasted that cat, so we can collect more than one cat. All right, let's collect these cats. So here we go. The cat disappeared like we wanted to, and it says you collected 1 cat. And then let's go over to this one. You collected 2 cats. Wait, why didn't that cat disappear? Oh, I know why it didn't disappear. So the reason this cat didn't disappear is because the hide is set to cat 1. This is actually going to be cat 2. So let's make sure that we're making cat 2 disappear. Alright, so now cat 2 will disappear. So when you copy and paste, make sure that you check the actors and the variables. So we collected the first cat, you collected 1 cat. And we collected the second cat, you collected 2 cats. Alright, you're ready to make your cat collection game. Let's call it Crazy Cat Lady. We can make a Crazy Cat Lady game. So we don't want to, for example, the cat number of cats, we don't want to check if it's true or false. We want to compare it with a value or a variable. So we'll go with compare with value. So if cats collected is equal to 0, we're going to have the NPC say, the NPC is going to say, collect more cats. Oh, find my cats. It's going to say, find my cats. And then that's if it's equal to 0. No. Let's make it, there's only 2 cats. So if it's less than 2, then she's going to say, find all my cats. Else, thanks for finding my cats. And then we can give her a love emote. She's gonna be, she's thankful. Remember, she's not the player. She's actor 2, and she's gonna be in love. She's gonna be thankful. So now if I go over to this girl, she says, find all my cats. And if I get 1 cat, you collected 1 cat. Remember, we're testing if it's less than 2. So if I talk to her again, she says, find all my cats, because it is still less than 2. And now I've collected 2 cats, and when I go over to her, she says, thanks for finding my cats. Oh, and she loves me. Isn't that cool? And so we have a variable for keeping track of the cats, but you can also have a variable for keeping track of quests. So I can make a quest, and if you find all her cats, I can set a variable. So let's say we wanted to make this a quest. What I can do is go to add event, scroll to the bottom, and set variable to true. So once you find all her cats, she says, thanks for finding my cats, and we're gonna set this variable to true. And I created a variable called cat quest. So cat quest will be set to true. And once the cat quest variable is set to true, maybe you want to keep track of quests for doors to open or for NPCs to say different things. But all you need to do is create a variable and set it to true. Remember, by default, it's set to false. So I taught you basic questing. I taught you basic logic with if-else, and I taught you how to show variables in Dialog. Mess around with that. I think you'll be surprised by how much you can get done. Then also go through the events and just try these events and see what they do. And you'll come up with some cool stuff like how we hid the cat so it seems like we picked it up. This was pretty simple stuff, but if you want to learn more complicated stuff, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll create a tutorial for it. All the sprites, they're going to be on my itch link in the description. And I hope you guys make some fun stuff in GB Studio. I'd love to play it. Link me when you do.